Hello, everybody. Today, uh, we are going to discuss a new topic, which is quite interesting and which we face with our daily life issues. The topic is frustration. We know that whenever we are very much frustrated with our day-to life, we have different various type of emotions, various types of feelings, various types of objectives that whenever it doesn't get fulfilled or it is restricted by some other means, by externally or internally, we feel almost frustrated. We are very much uh, angry, we're so much giving up that what is happening within myself. Okay, so in frustration, what we usually see is that the frustration usually doesn't happen to every individual, and it doesn't happen daily also. It happens with the time, with some particular time, in some particular moment, with some particular individual also. So today in this discussion, we are going to discuss in brief and in a simple way that what is frustration and what are the other things that is related to the frustration. So today we are going to discuss about the introduction of the frustration, what actually frustration means, and definition of frustration, source of frustration, where does frustration usually initiated, and types of frustration, different types of frustration according to different individual or according to different situation, the defense mechanism of frustration, that is how we have to cope up with the frustration, and lastly we'll go to the summarization. So let's proceed with today's discussion. So, in introduction, in the most complex and complicated society of today, there are lots of occasions where the needs are many, but the outlets for the satisfaction of these needs are very few. Thus, there is tremendous scope for frustration of any kind: physical, personal, social, and psychological. Here, what we are trying to understand is that today the world is so much complicated. Let's ignore the world. Let's go back to our own society. Our society is very much complicated, very much complex, and it takes times to understand whether what are going in our daily day-to-day activities as well as in our surrounding environment. Okay, so in these different types of occasion, different type of events which are happening surrounding us, we have many desire, we have many needs to be fulfilled daily as well as by the scope of time. But some of these needs are met, almost met halfly, we have satisfied with these, and some of them are almost neglected. So there is tremendous scope of frustration, maybe in physical way, that is physical frustration, that is I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling fatigue, all those things physical way. Personal, internally, I'm very much frustrated. Socially, I'm frustrated with these people, with those people with the environment, with this family, all those things are social. And psychologically, I am much frustrated. Okay, man is a social organism. We consider man as a social organism, that is we are usually socialized human organism. He is born in the society, we are born in the society, we live in the society, we grows up in the society, and also we die in the society. So when starting the process from birth to the death, I met that man meets several problems, different types of problems, whether it might be in the childhood days, whether it might be in the teenager age, or whether it might be in the old age. That a human being meets several problems and they are required to solve them. But when the individual is not able to solve this particular problem, that particular situation, the man automatically feel frustrated. So frustrated usually happens in every individual. It doesn't mean that it must be happen only to that particular individual. It must be only for the male, female, for the child, for the all its people. It happens to every individual regardless of sex, age, and regardless of the time and the environment situation. Okay, so now definition of the frustration. In psychology, frustration is a common emotional response to opposition related to anger, annoyance, and disappointment. So whenever I feel disappointed, whenever I feel opposition when I'm doing something and somebody is opposing to my work, or when I feel very annoyed to some particular moment, very disappointed with what I have done and what I was expecting. At that time, frustration arises as an emotional response. Okay, so frustration arises from the perceived resistance to the fulfillment of an individual's will or goal, and is likely to increase when a will or goal is denied or blocked. For example, I, as an independent individual, feel perceive that whenever I am doing this work, I must be achieving this particular results. I must be finishing this work. It's a particular moment of time, or simply as I am a student, I thought that today I will complete this particular chapter. But due to some family issues, due to some guests which are arriving at my home, I could not consider on my work. My family members, mother, fathers said, come out and talk with them, have some quality time with them, make some tea, make some snacks. All those things will act as a block, as I said, opposition, act as a what to say, disturbances or resistance to my particular goal, and that time frustration arises within my from myself. Okay, so frustration usually doesn't arise. It arises from certain particular resistance towards my particular perception. Okay, so students can also be frustrated. Being as a student, I being as a student, somebody who are a student can also be frustrated over exam pressure. Okay, peer pressure, that is from the pressure from my friend circle, and pressure from the parents to perform well in exam. So student might also fear frustration. I myself as a teacher might also feel frustrated at some point of time. My family members, my parents might also feel frustrated at some more point of time. So frustration arises in every individual at some point of time. Okay, so next is the source of frustration. We have known that there are different source of frustration. I also have some point of where my frustration usually happens. Some you might also have some point or some area where you feel very frustrated. So in this, we are going to discuss the source of frustration. In the source of frustration, there are usually two types of source. First one is the internal internal source of frustration. Okay, and the second one is the external source of frustration. By the term itself, internal means those frustrations which arise from inside, from the one's internal instinct. External means those frustrations which force the individual from the environmental surrounding. Okay, so let's proceed to the two different types. First one is the internal source of frustration. This frustration usually involve disappointment, such as when we cannot have what we want. I feel that I must buy a particular clothes which is quite beautiful, pretty, and cute, and it is recently used by all the girls. So I thought that I will buy this by next month, and I could not achieve that. Automatically, frustration might be aroused from myself. Okay, personal, real, or imaginary, imagine deficiency. I imagine that today my mother will be making some delicious food which I want, or something that I really want to eat. I might be thinking that today is my birthday, and my parents will be some organize some small birthday by bringing me a cake, but that doesn't happen. That is called real or imagined deficiency, and at that time I might feel frustrated. Okay, lack of confidence or fear of social situation. I might feel lack of confidence, then I might not be doing some particular work with very much effectiveness, very much confidence, then I might lose that particular thing. Okay, so and that at that time internal frustration might also happen. So that this is the way how internal source of frustration occurs. Okay, it can result when a person has competing multiple goals that interfere within one another. Let me explain with a simple example. Completing multiple tasks from school. I am going to school, I have different type of assignment. That is assignment for English, assignment from social studies, assignment from mathematics, assignment from science, physical education. Different tasks I have been assigned from the school. But beside that, I have to complete each and every task within 1 week. At that time, I might feel frustration, and that type of frustration is called as the internal source of frustration. Clear? Okay. Next, the external source of frustration. You will be clearer when we discuss both source of frustration. So, in external source of frustration, it involves outside the person, not inside, from inside me. but from outside me. That is physical roadblocks we encounter in life, such as when we are driving very hurriedly at my school, at my office, and sometimes suddenly traffic happens there, or sometimes a roadblocks is happen there. A simple accident is there, and the road are totally blocked, and I must almost wait there for almost 1.5 hours. Then automatically frustration occurs due to some external sources. Okay, one of the biggest sources of frustration in today's world is the frustration caused by the perception of wasting time. One of the biggest source where frustration occurs from the external point of view is that when I thought that I have a lot of work to do, I have to complete this, I have to do this also, I have to wash my clothes, I have to clean my room, I have to uh, teach my siblings also. All these things happen even though I know I have different types of important works to be finished with this particular time. I am busy with my phone. Okay, or I might be uh, uh, in a bank, in a line, standing in a line in a bank, and I know that I have different other important works to complete, but I could not complete this work also. And at that time I feel very frustrated because I have different external factors, different external causes that force me to feel frustrated. Okay, example, when you're standing in line at the bank, or in the traffic, or on a phone, watching your days go by when you have so much to do. Clear? In internal factors, it happens for within myself, for self-satisfaction, personal views, as I have perceived, and it doesn't happen as that. So that is called internal sources. Okay, but in external sources, some particular external factors might be there that influence you, that force you to feel frustrated. Clear? So there are main two sources of frustration. First one is the internal source, and second one is the external source. So next we'll proceed to types of frustration. Basically, there are 4 types of frustration. First one is the personal frustration. It might be related with the personal point of view. Okay. Second one will be the conflicting frustration. Third is the environmental frustration, and the fourth one is the motivational frustration. So we'll discuss it one by one. First one is personal, second one is conflicting, environmental, and motivational. First one is the personal frustration. As the term itself suggested, personal frustration appears when an individual are related with some personal work or unable to complete some personal uh, goals in time. Okay, so every man has some expectation and personal ones. I, as an individual, have some expectation that I have to complete this in particular point of time, that I am expecting this from myself. So I have some sort of expectation and personal ones. On the other hand, the qualities and the abilities of a person is limited. Means that the capability of a person is always limited. It means that I am a simple person. Okay, I am a simple person. I am studying in BSc 4th year. I thought that after completing my BSc nursing course, I will be uh, recruited in a very reputed institution or a very reputed organization. I perceive myself like that. But whenever I go for any interview, very recruitment process, the qualities and ability within myself is very limited or very weak. So I doesn't get recruited, I doesn't get selected in the particular or reputed very highly qualified institution or organizations. Okay, with limited capabilities. Okay, with limited capabilities, no one can fulfill all ones. So I have limited capabilities. I doesn't know uh, some particular subject. For example, let's consider that I'm very much expert in ALS and BLS. Okay, let's see CPR process. But whenever I go for any recruiting process or in a particular organization, the panel has asked me about what are the medications that you have to give to suicidal patients. Okay, what care you have to provide to a patient with a nasogastric deficiency. All those things, some medical surgical related things, some pediatric opinions, some gynecological things. All those things are I'm but much limited to do towards it, but I am very much qualified ALS BLS. So that is my limitation. Okay, so with that limited capabilities, I cannot fulfill all the things that I want and expectation of my life. So at that point of time, I myself become very frustration, and that frustration is called as a personal frustration. Okay? I'm expecting something. I'm thinking that I will get these and I don't get those things because of my personal limitation, my personal capabilities, limited capabilities, limited uh, qualities. At that time, personal frustration arises. Clear with this? Second one is a conflicting frustration. Conflict means, as we have know that conflict means when two or more peoples or two or more teams have different views, different opinions, and at that time, whenever frustration happens, is called a conflicting frustration. So sometimes there are happen conflict between the owner and the worker, okay, worker to worker. Such conflict make industrial worker nervous and gloomy. Such incident creates psychological pressure for those workers. So gradually such psychological pressure and gloominess turns into frustration, and this type of frustration is called as a conflicting frustration. Clear? It's very simple. I have my owner, I am the worker. When I have conflict with my owner and the worker, okay, or when I have conflict with my own co-worker, at that time I might feel very nervous, gloomy, and very much demotivated. And at that time, I might be facing some psychological pressure. Me as a worker, I have conflict with my owner, I might have conflict with my co-worker, then I might feel some psychological pressure. And this psychological pressure and gloominess automatically turns into frustration. And this frustration is called as a conflict frustration. Simply frustration which arises due to the conflict between two or more members or between two or more teams. Clear with this? Okay, first one was the personal conflict, personal frustration. Second one is the conflicting frustration. Next one, third one will go to the environmental frustration. In environmental frustration, sometimes frustration grows from our surrounding environment in which we live or work. Okay, because when a person faces unfavorable environment in the part of his working and long-term goal, he becomes frustrated. This type of frustration is called as environmental frustration. Clear? Simply those frustration which grows from the surrounding environment with where I work or I live is known as a environmental frustration. For example, I live in a very congested city area. Okay, so during some particular occasion, some particular festivals, the road are filled with huge trucks filled with the huge loudspeakers, loud songs playing upon the speakers, and it might be quite irritating to me because they are playing the sound, playing the music, playing the songs continuously from morning to till late night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So I might be feeling very much uncomfortable. Okay, I might feel very unfavorable with that particular environment, and because of that unfavorable situation I might feel frustrated, and that frustration is known as the environmental frustration. Clear? Okay, the last frustration is the motivational frustration. It's quite, we think that it's quite negative, but it's also quite positive. Here both positive and negative point are mixed up. In motivational frustration, motivation is one kind of power which make a person delightful for work. When I get motivated, I will feel very happy, and I'm but when positive feedback gives back are received by me, I feel very much motivated, and I'm very much delightful and very happy, and I'm much motivated to work towards other works in a very positive way. So furthermore, positive motivation can make someone dynamically and encourage for work. Automatically, if I feel positive motivation, I will be very much encouraged to work. Okay. For this reason, every management tries to use motivation to increase productiveness of their work. Okay. It happens everywhere. Even though a teacher will motivate you, your parents will motivate you, your friend circle will motivate you that you are doing great, you are doing good, you are doing a very best job, all these things, and you will feel very motivated. Okay, so on the other hand, what happens? Motivation decrease mental pressure of a person. Yes, motivation automatically will decrease mental pressure of the person. I will feel less pressure. Okay, but when a worker feel proper motivation, only then the person feels one kind of pressure. Okay, gradually that pressure turns into frustration. Here what happened? I am being motivated daily that you are doing good, you are doing great, you are doing good, you are doing great daily. Okay, then some at some point of time I will feel I will be fed up with those motivation words. I'll feel that, oh, what this person is trying to show up to me, what he or she wants to say to me. I'm very much frustrated with all those motivating words. I'm fed up. I'm giving up. All these things happen in motivation point of view. So at that time, the person feels very frustrated due to the repeated motivation, due to the mm, daily motivation, that I know that I'm doing good, but at some point of time, I may feel very frustrated with all those motivating feedback. So that frustration is known as motivation frustration. Clear? Okay. So how to respond to a frustration? Different individuals have different type of ways to how to respond to frustration. So there are some typical responses that we usually respond. Okay. The first one is the anger. By frustration, we feel very angry that we will try to throw things, we will blame it on other individual, we will shout out. All these things happen in anger. Okay. Second one is giving up. I feel very frustrated. Then I know that I'm giving up. I quit. I don't want even to continue this thing. Or I don't even want to see your face, see his face. I don't even want to talk with you. That is giving up. Okay. Next one is a loss of confidence. By repeated frustration, I will feel lack of confidence and I will be demotivated. The fourth one is the depression. By repeated frustration with life, with the working areas, with the family members, with one point of topic, I might feel depressed. Okay. Then the last one is stress. Due to repeated frustration, I might be stressed. So these are some typical response how an individual might respond to a frustration. Clear? It differs. For example, I might show my anger when I very much frustrated. Some people you might feel giving up when you are facing some particular frustration. So it differs according to individual and according to the types of frustration also. Okay. So defense mechanism. There are different types of defense mechanism as given by Freud. There are different types of mechanism. So first, I would like to know that what is defense mechanism simply means. In psychoanalytic theory, defense mechanism is an unconscious psychological mechanism that reduces anxiety. For example, I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling angry. I will adapt some unconscious psychological mechanism that might reduce my anxiety, that might reduce my frustration, that might reduce my anger, okay, arising from unacceptable or potentially harmful stimuli, and that is which reacts according to the unacceptable or potentially harmful stimulus. Okay, defense mechanisms may result in healthy or unhealthy consequence. It doesn't mean that whenever I feel anxiety, whenever I feel very much frustrated, I may adopt some unconscious psychological mechanism. But that doesn't means that it may result to a healthy conclusion, or it might also lead to unhealthy consequences, depending upon what? Depending upon the circumstances and frequency with which the mechanism is used. Okay. A good example of this defense mechanism is that when a husband came back from work, he might feel very much angry, but he can't express to his owner, his manager. So he came back home and he is getting angry at the child or spouse because of he had a bad day at work. Okay, that is called defense mechanism. According to Freud, there are 12 best important defense mechanisms, different types. First one is the compensation, denial, displacement, identification, introjection, projection, reaction formation, rationalization, regression, repression, ritual and undoing, and sublimation. Okay, these 12 types of Freudism defense mechanism. In these 12 types, I adapt some particular types of defense mechanism according to my unconscious psychological patterns. Okay. For example, as previous slide we have discussed, a husband has a bad day at work and he came back and starts scolding, shouting towards his wife and child. That is under displacement. He's displacing his frustration, anger towards his family member. Okay, such different types of mechanisms. We will have a separate discussion about these types of defense mechanism. For today's discussion, I just want to let you know that there are 12 type of defense mechanism, and according to the type of frustration, according to consequences, according to individual psychological pattern, defense mechanism adaptation will be different. Clear? Okay, so have arrived to the end point of today's discussion. So most of the time frustration is bad for everyone. We know frustration gives a bad impression, bad complications. So proper uses of resources and minimum wastage of resources along with increasing productivity among people, management will apply proper steps against growing frustration among its people. So whenever you feel frustrated, you must try to adapt some particular sort of a proper defense mechanism to get rid of that particular frustration, anxiety, or anger. Okay, so accepting life is one of the secrets of avoiding frustration. If you are not accepting the way you are living your life, if you are not accepting that what kind of life I'm living a very low life, I'm not getting whatever I want. If you are thinking like this way in a negative way, automatically frustration will happen you in every moment, every second, every day. So you have to first accept your own life, your own way of living, your environment, your everything. Then it will help you to avoid some sort of frustration. So we cannot eliminate frustration. In spite of all efforts, things happen that will cause frustration and anger. We will try to avoid frustration. However, we cannot eliminate frustration completely. So besides all the effort we are providing, some things might happen in our life process that will cause frustration and anger. So life is filled with frustration, pain, loss, and unpredictable actions of others. So we can't change that, but we can change the way we let us even affects us. Okay, so we must first of all we must accept ourselves, our life, our environment, our family members, our life process. Okay, then we must accept the event in such a way that frustration does not happen with a particular situation or particular event. Okay, so today we have discussed about the definitions of frustration, different source of frustration, that is internal and external, types of frustration. There are four types. One is personal, conflicting, motivational, and environmental, and different defense mechanism. In I have analyzed different defense mechanism and what how we have response to frustration. Okay, so I'm happy that frustration is a simple topic, but it is very much important in every individual life. Okay, so to avoid frustration, we must first accept oneself. We must view the events in such a way that frustration does not arise from ourselves. Okay, so we must be very positive and very straightforward and very much acceptable with the acceptable and understandable with every situation of our life. Okay, so I'm happy that today we have discussed this very important topic, and hope that all of you have understood the topic very well. And thank you very much for your attention, and please stay safe and have a nice day. Thank you.